I was lucky enough a couple of weeks ago to teach one of my workshops called Ditch Diets for Good. Oh, I don't actually know why I'm wearing the glasses. Ditch Diets for Good. And as luck would turn out, there were only 3 participants. Now, in the past, when I've had too few participants, I've had to cancel workshops. And I don't like doing that, right? And I remember when I actually set this one and I got the first 2 people, I thought, you know what? If there are 3 people, I will definitely do it. It's worth it for me because I haven't taught this for a while and I love to teach it and I like to get the feedback. So that's what I'm going to do. And so it turned out there were 3 people. And at first I thought it might be a bit awkward and a bit strange because the room's going to be relatively empty. But what turned out, how it turned out was that it was in my experience, one of the best workshops I've taught in a long time. And that was because I had direct connection with the people there and because we could work directly on their problems and they could learn from one another as opposed to me just being this talking head teaching them and then leaving them to complete the worksheets in the workshop. But there's only so much checking of the worksheets I can do. And unless people ask questions, I don't know whether they stuck or whether they're struggling. And so we ended up doing a lot of together work. And I thought to myself, you know what, this is like a group coaching. This was more like a group coaching day than it actually was a workshop. So those of you who know me, follow me on social media, or just know me in my practice, know that I have been working very hard in the last year to develop an online presence, and I actually want to launch my business online. And so to that end, I've formulated a mini version of Ditch Diets for Good as an online course, which I haven't actually opened the cart on because I've been too scared to, because I don't want to be rejected, right? So I've been holding back on that, but I've also studied with a high performance expert and I've completed all the modules of his online training. And essentially that online training actually trains you to do things like webinars, online courses, group coaching courses, individual coaching courses. So I've been diligently, the way that I'm quite a good student, working through each one of those modules and actually completing the exercises, doing the work to completion with my own work. And so I'd actually designed a group coaching course. And I designed a course that could be used for groups as well as for individuals. So with individuals, it just means that that person is directly accessible to me. And that means that the work can generally be done a little bit faster. And I thought to myself, well, I'm sure I can turn this into a group coaching course. And that experience at my Ditch Diets for Good workshop made me realize that that's really what I want to do. That is the next thing that I want to do. That is more important to me right now than a flagship workshop. It's more important to me than, I don't know, paid webinars or whatever the case may be. It's because that's what I really love to do. What has also brought this home for me is I've just recently been doing some work with a coach that works from the creative orientation, my friend and mentor, Renette Nell. And she introduced me to what is called the creative orientation. And this term comes from a book by Robert Fritz called The Path of Least Resistance. Now, Robert Fritz was a composer and a filmmaker, and he wrote this book about the creative orientation, saying that people who are creative, artists, writers, poets, filmmakers, musicians, sculptors, those kind of people that we consider to be arty, the way in which they create, it's like a reproducible system. And the problem is that we don't realize that we can take that creative process and apply it to all areas of our lives. And it opened my eyes about how creating what you love really works. And so, I have a lot of experience in this. So probably about 9 or 10 years ago, when The Secret came out, I watched The Secret and I was blown away by it, but I thought that there were some gaps. So then I studied a whole lot of people: Abraham Hicks, Mike Dooley, Bob Proctor, John Assaraf. I read a lot of books, did a lot of online courses, and then I ended up distilling that information, and I wrote my own book called Conscious Creating. And in actual fact, that was my first full-day workshop that I taught. But that whole law of attraction thing started palling for people after a while. And what happened to me was, even though a lot of my life was working really well, my career wasn't really going that well. But it's like a slow slide down the slippery slope, right? And the last year or two has been particularly difficult and confusing for me. And I've been struggling to know where I want to go and what I want to do. And, do I want to work this way? And how much time do I want to devote to the practice? And how much time do I want to devote to this online stuff? And there just never seemed to be enough time. I was dissatisfied and I wasn't making enough money. And then I got introduced to the creative orientation, and I read Robert Fritz's book while I was working with Renette, and that just all came together. And what I realized was that when you are focused on fixing because you feel bad, what you do is you actually switch off one half of your creativity. Now, This is where most personal development work happens. It happens in making us not feel bad. So, replace your negative thoughts with positive thoughts. Always look on the bright side. Now, there's nothing wrong with that advice per se, but if you're doing that so that you are in denial of what's really going on, you cut off half of your creativity. And what happens is we start operating in what Fritz calls the reactive responsive mode. So something happens. Let's say, I have a very quiet month at work. So now my cash flow's gone for a ball and my confidence goes for a ball. And I have a workshop that no one comes to. So now I'm thinking, oh my God, this must be me. I'm definitely not attracting these people. And it's not untrue. It is me. I get that. But what I do is I focus on what's wrong with me and want to fix what's wrong with me. And when I fix what's wrong with me, then my work situation will turn out okay. And while that has some validity, that is the reactive responsive mode. In other words, you react, oh my God, this is so hectic. I can't have this carrying on anymore. What do I have to fix in order to make it better? And I'm so focused on fixing the current that I'm not attached to the vision of what I actually want for my life. So, there's the guy who owns Mind Valley. His name is Vishen. I can't remember his surname. He's written a book called How to Be Extraordinary. And in How to Be Extraordinary, he talks about means goals and end goals. Means goals are always a means to an end, right? Whereas end goals, they where the vision lies. So and my understanding of what he says are end goals, that's what I'm talking about, vision goals, right? Those really big life goals. Like, what is it that you're here to do? What is it that you want to create with your life? And if we focus on what it is that we want to create with our life, and we get real about where we are without trying to fix where we are, we set up something that Fritz calls creative tension. And he says that energy always follows the path of least resistance. And the path of least resistance will be to create that thing that you want. But you have to be able to hold the tension. So you have to be able to say, I'm crapping myself because I can't pay the bills, but I'm not going to jump in and try and fix not paying the bills, because I'm going to keep on focusing on what I'd love to create. So maybe what I love to create is a business that pays the bills with ease. So when I keep that tension, I keep my discomfort, I don't try and take my anxiety away, then I'm actually providing, think of it as the negative and the positive pole of a battery, in order to let the current of my creativity flow. And then when I take an action, instead of it being an action to make me feel better, I take an action that's aligned with the end goal. And that was like, it suddenly explained it to me. And what I realized was in my workshop, and this is what was different about my last workshop, I had learned this stuff about 2 weeks before this workshop started, and I knew I had to introduce it into the workshop. Now, in my workshop, I already have sections on defining where you are in your life, questionnaires letting you know where you are relative to your health, where you are stuck in your life, what you think needs to change in your life. That's getting real with where you are, right? And I also have sections on goal setting and visioning your health and your life, and visioning what it is that you want and why you want it. And I always used to get impatient in this section of the workshops. People just took so long with that stuff. And I thought, that's just we just need like a vision, right? You just need a goal, something to drive us towards. But the most important part is how are we going to get to the goal? So I was focusing on the journey to the destination, right? On the how, rather than on the destination itself. Now, I don't know if any of this stuff is clear to you, but I promise you, if you do some work with me, it will become clear, right? So what I did in the last workshop, I spent a lot of time explaining this reactive responsive mode and how we hold the tension. And I realized there were many techniques in my workshop that are already there, geared to help you do just that. I just didn't have it in that framework. What I also realized, as I may have mentioned before, because I've been banging on for so long now, I can't remember, is that I love working with small groups. And so my next aligned action to align with my vision, and my vision for my life, which is what I found when I worked with my coach, is I envisage myself as being a healer that brings light, that shines light on my version of the truth. And if you find my version of the truth resonates with you, then that's what you can use to help you get to your vision. And so that's the vision that I have for my life. And so how am I going to do that if I keep all my stuff to myself and I don't let it out, right? And if I'm not authentic, and if I'm too worried about being good enough, or the time's not right, or I have to have it all together. So here it goes. I've decided to launch the group coaching program because I had it all worked out, right? It's the same as the individual coaching program. It's now just done with a few more people, which makes it a whole lot more affordable for people. And of course, it's done online so that you can connect to this from anywhere you may be in the world. So I'm offering my group coaching program to a small group of 8, maximally 10 people. It's a beta testing group. It is a testing group. I know the tools and techniques in this group coaching program work. So I'm not testing the techniques. I'm testing out this format of working with a small group. And as I said, it's going to be online. It's on a platform that people can interact and we can hear each other speaking, and you can ask your questions live and I can help you answer them. And because it's a testing group, I'm offering it at a one-time, really, really special offer of 1,200 Rand or $85 for 6 sessions. So each session will be about 2 hours long. It will run every week. There will be a recording of the session, so if you don't actually make it live, you can watch the recorded one, but obviously the live one is the one that wins the prize, because that's the one where you're going to get the most interaction from, and you learn from other people. That's the other thing I learned in this workshop. We learn from other people. I've always known that. But if there are too many people in a workshop, it's difficult for that interaction to happen. So we learn from other people. And that's what you get when you join the live session. So what is this workshop about? Well, I call it Whole Health for Life, because my game is health, you know that. And if you've got health, it spills over into every other area of your life. And if you don't have health, well, then it's a bit of a Debbie Downer on every other area of your life. So it's Whole Health for Life. And it is a combination of a health /personal development program. The 6 sessions are broken up obviously into individual modules, and each one, the sequence is as follows. The first one is for you to get real with where you are, and there are tools and techniques for you to discover that, and also then to help you set the vision for where you want to go and to choose health. It's a fundamental choice that has to be made. Many of us don't reach our goals because we don't actually choose them. It sounds like I'm splitting hairs, but when I explain it to you in more detail, you'll understand it. So that's the first session. The first session is getting real with where you are and getting connected to where you really want to be. What is your vision that you have for your life? The second session is associated with getting deeply connected to your body. How do you start learning to interpret the feedback that your body's giving you as messages from your unconscious? Because that's exactly what is actually happening. So the second session is all geared around tools and techniques of how you can connect to yourself. Because here's the thing, when you improve your connection to yourself, you improve your connection to your loved ones, you improve your connection to your job, you improve your connection to the energy that is money. You essentially connect yourself to the whole of life. And we are social creatures. We are creatures of connection, even those of us who are introverts. And I'm one of them. We need connection. The third module is about removing your fears, because fear is an obstacle, not removing them. It's about how it is that we recognize them and how can we work with them so that we can integrate those fears so that they can help us be creative as opposed to holding us back and sabotaging us. And you know, which of us do not have fears? We all have. And this is it offers you tools and techniques, this module, of how it is that you can actually deal with and manage your fears so that you don't try and fix them, that you don't try and suppress them, and so that you can still use them in the creative process, but it increases your capacity with dealing with them. The fourth one is about getting in touch with our feelings. Now, I can't believe I just said that, getting in touch with our feelings, because that sounds very sort of touchy-feely and psychotherapeutic. It's not. Feelings want to be felt. They don't want to be fixed. So the minute you feel uncomfortable, our natural tendency is to want to fix it. So for example, if I'm anxious, maybe I want to eat chocolate because it's going to soothe me, all right? So fixing it makes it go underground and it ends up sabotaging you in your behavior. And we want to try and prevent and negate that. And so that's actually where feeling your feelings becomes really essential. But you know, feeling your feelings is easier said than done. So in this particular module, I offer you tools and techniques that help you connect to those feelings and allow you to feel them. And here's the thing, the more comfortable you can get with, let's say, feeling anxiety, the more you can just allow the anxiety to be there without having to fix it, the more you stimulate that creative juice of the positive and the negative terminal that helps you create whatever reality you want. That was number 4, hey? Number 4, yeah. Number 5 is about getting real, again, about where you really are. What are your priorities and what have you injected from society? What are you doing because you're a woman or because you think you should or you need or you ought to, right? We need to get clear about that. And that also sounds really obvious, but I'm telling you, we subtly ingest or inject these values into our lives. And when we try and set goals based in areas that are not a priority for us, then we set ourselves up for failure. So that's module 5. Module 5 is about getting real with what is true for you, what is a priority in your life, and how you can align those priorities with your vision so that you can create what you want to create. And the last module is about owning your awesome and your awful traits, because the more integrated you are, the more you can own your magnificence as well as what you think is not your magnificence, your awesome and your awful, the more likely you are to actually turn up as your authentic self. And here's the thing, people want the real you. They don't want the masky you, okay? I mean, really, that's part of my problem, is that my fear and insecurity drives the masky me, which then makes me seem insincere or inauthentic, and people are just turned off by that. It doesn't matter how nice you are, and it doesn't matter how passionate you are about your message. People are turned off by inauthenticity, and people are attracted to authenticity, okay? So the tools and techniques in that last module is all about helping you to integrate all the parts of yourself so that you can be more authentic. And what that does is it grows your self-esteem, it grows your confidence, it grows your self-esteem. And at the end of those 6 modules, those 6 sessions, you actually have all the tools you need to keep the creative tension, to allow the creative process to follow the path of least resistance, which is to get you where you want to go relative to your health or actually any other area of your life. So there's an application form in a PDF file that you can click on the link and you can download it. The application form is not so that I can say, oh, sorry, but this course is too highfalutin for you. Not at all. I want us to be a great match. I want to make sure that what you are signing up for is what you are going to benefit from. And that's what that application form is for. It's not to vet you. It's not to decide that you're not good enough, please. It's to make sure that you're not wasting your time, your effort, your energy, or your money. So please will you fill in the application form. If you're keen, send it off to me. If we're a match, I'll say absolutely you're in, and the course will start next week, and next week being the 2nd week of April. I think it's the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, it's the 9th. I think Monday is the 9th of April. It won't be on a Monday. I'm going to try and float it on Tuesday evenings because that's what suits me best, but I will, of course, get the consensus from everyone in the group. And remember, if you can't make it at the specific time or the specific day, you can actually get the recording, and the recording will contain all the interaction of all the other participants. So it'll be like being there, but you just won't be able to actually ask your own questions live in that one, but you will be able to email those questions to me, and I will do my very best to answer those for you. So if you're keen, fill in the application form. If you're not, well, then it's not for you. Thank you so much to all of you for watching for this long, and I hope to hear from a whole lot of you soon. And once this beta group is over, then I will probably start running more of them more frequently. So if you find that the group thing doesn't appeal to you and you actually would like to work with me one-to-one, I do one-on-one coaching as well. I also do it electronically. Anywhere in the world, we set up a time that's mutually beneficial to both of us and we can get working. So if you're keen to do that, then you can send me a personal message to my email address. You can just reply to this email and it will come directly to me. So thank you so much for watching. If you think that anybody might find this interesting, anyone that you know, please will you share this with anyone that you think may benefit or may be interested.